Hey, 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 what's going on, you crazy fucker? Alright, welcome to episode 3 of your personalized stat videos. Don't you love, let me just point out, let me just take a minute here to appreciate this one little fact, how each time you boot up the menu, and if you're on a different episode, the menu screen changes. Like, first off, it was the riverbank that you were at in episode 1. And then episode 2, it was the wind turbine that was at the lodge. And then this is like the back parking lot of a house. Or, well, house. Well, it's Lowe's, though, man. It's Lowe's, Home Depot, Menards, whatever common, popular home improvement warehouse store is nearby you. I mean, it's what it is. I mean, come on, bro. House instead of Lowe's. Come on, or Lowe's. You know, house, hose, hose. You see what they're doing there? Lowe's, hose, house. You can't say hose, so you say house. But I think it's pretty cool. And then for you already played episode 4, so I can tell you this. The episode 4 menu is the fallen soldier memorial statue that you found at Parker's Run. Remember that little Civil War encampment, which is really weird how you're not into history. I would assume someone like you would be into history, but I guess I was wrong. I really wasn't into it, except when it came to American history. I didn't care about anywhere else but the United States. Like, I didn't care about world history, like Prussia and the Egyptians and the Romans and all that stuff. I don't need to know about that shit. But anyway, don't mean to keep talking about the stuff. Just trying to fill some time because last two videos are kind of short, and I don't want you to like watch the short videos. So let's dive right into episode 3 choices for In Harm's Way. I'm recording this at 3:15 a.m. on the 4th of May. So it's a few hours after you streamed episode 4, Amid the Ruins. So what I'm going to do is probably do this one, and then I'm going to stream episode 4. And then I'm going to do one for a video for that one. Anyway, let's talk about the first main choice that the episode throws at you, which is really weird because they throw this at you like halfway through the episode. It's like you were already like well in the camp when they presented the main choice. It's all about compassion. Did you help Sarah with her chores? Which I love that, chores. You mean forced manual labor? All them are slave laborers, man. Y'all were slaves. They were your slave laborers. They owned you, man. Alright, enough of that. So, us, which means you and myself, and 45.5% of players did our own work. Which means, at least in this version anyway, 54.5% of players helped her with the work. But of course, you know, I don't get why they would show compassion to her, because these people know, like, the people who play this version know what happens. Regardless of whether or not you help her or not. The only difference in that choice is that Reggie yells at Clementine instead of Sarah. But it's like, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter what happens though. Carver still comes in, yells at Reggie, and then throws him off the goddamn roof. So that choice didn't really hold a lot of weight. It just kind of showed, or the game wanted to know where you were leading to when it came to, you know, compassion and I guess that particular character. Because if it was someone else, you probably would have helped them. But since it was her, and we can't stand Sarah for obvious reasons, we decided to do our own work, and that's what we did. So, not really much to say about that other than the fact that I don't like Sarah. I thought she was annoying, and I thought that she was too sheltered to live in that kind of world. And I thought I don't think it was all entirely her fault. Carlos was also to blame, but I'm not a dad, so I can't decide that, I suppose. But not much to say about the first one, compassion. So I'm gonna go ahead and move on, because again, we did the same thing, and you probably know us by now, but I guess I was wrong. I'll have to eat my own words. This episode, again, we did everything the same pretty much. I mean, we were the same all throughout this episode. So again, not a whole lot to talk about, so I'm going to be filling in a lot of the gaps between the video by just, random filler talk, but I'll go through them real quick, talk about why I did them, and move on. The second main umbrella choice, at least in this episode, was all about trust. Did you tell Bonnie about Luke? And at this point, I didn't like Bonnie. I wanted her gone. I wanted her dead. I didn't want her to be involved in any way. All I saw was a fucking junkie who, at least in my version, she was a truth teller in my version, and then I guess somehow she started lying again. In your version, she was already a liar. So you already know who you're playing with. And that's why I like, 400 Days so much, is because you got to see her backstory before she found Carver and all them. And let's also take a minute to recognize the fact that, yeah, bro, the 400 Days group that you played in season 1, if they go with Tavia, she takes them back to Carver's group. So I'm saying right now, it's better to stay at the camp, I would think, because I would not want to be under the guy's rule of thumb. No way in hell. No fucking way. And before you ask, because maybe you were thinking about this, there is no way to prevent Bonnie from leaving with Tavia in 400 Days. No matter what. If you lie to Leland, if you tell the truth to Leland, doesn't matter. She always leaves with Tavia. And now you know why. It's because she's the only character from 400 Days that the game decided to focus on. Because in our version, we also had Wyatt at Carver's place. However, that place got overrun by walkers. What happened to him? What happened to Tavia? What happened to everyone else besides Carver? Because we all know that Carver had died. Because we watched him get killed by Kenny. But we have no idea what happened to Tavia. We have no idea what happened to Wyatt. Did they get out? Did they get overrun by walkers? Did they die? We're not gonna know. But yeah, that's why I'd asked you, bro, earlier on, well, out of those 5 characters in 400 Days, which one do you least like and which one do you most like? And I loved how you said you didn't want anything to do with Bonnie, because I was like, oh, you're gonna hate her so much then by the end of season 2. But because she's the one character that they decided to focus on, an ex-junkie, for some reason. Although there was so many other different people that had a lot more different backstories, like Shell and Becca and Vince. But of course, they decided to go with the most interesting one, a fucking junkie who went through rehab during the apocalypse, and she's still a fucking liar. So anyway, that leads to segue into why you, myself, and 63.5% of players chose to hide Luke's presence. Which means, doing the math here, 36.4% of players decided to confide in Bonnie. So that's 30% of players. Not a whole lot, for obvious reasons. So, again, not much to say right there. I don't like Bonnie. You don't like Bonnie, and it's not because she's a junkie, okay? But, she got my group killed. She's the Ben. She's the Ben 10 of season 2, pretty much. Instead of causing the group to get killed, she led a group of people to our spot to kill them, inadvertently, but still fucking kill them. So that fucking sucks. But we did the same thing. We were trying to be very, hush hush about the entire thing, and I felt like that was the right call to make. Let me think here. Trying to think of what else to say about that one. But yeah, didn't tell Brian about Luke's presence. All right, let's move on to selflessness. Did you or did you not admit to stealing the walkie-talkie? When Carver was like, I'm gonna count to 3, and if that radio ain't in my hand by the time I get to 3, there will be serious consequences. And then there is 2 choices that would have been would have made you admit to stealing to the group, stealing the walkie-talkie, and then the other one, which you and I both said, we tried to hide it. And in doing so, well, it doesn't really matter anyway. It just depends on if you want to hide the fact or not. And why the hell would you admit to stealing it? Just be like, you lost it. It wasn't our fault. Maybe if your people had kept better track of your equipment, maybe it wouldn't have happened. That's what I wanted to say. But Kenny had to play hero. He had to play martyr, pretty much, and he lost his eye because of it. And now because of that, Kenny's half blind, and he's also very, very broken right now, again. But in contrast, 33% of players tried or fessed up to stealing the radio. And I just think they're just fucking trolls, man. They're just trying to play like someone who's just like so stupid just because of the fun of it. I don't know, but it's like you're doing the stuff that in season 2 with Clementine that I was doing with Lee in season 1. So it took you about a season's worth to develop into the badass you are right now, or currently are right now. You see, me watching the show and me watching me reading the comic books and whatever, and reading the books, I knew how the world was originally going to be. So I started with Lee. I made the tough calls as Lee early on. Like, I made Lee a fucking villain, man. If you go back and look at my videos, I made Lee a bad guy, which, you know, that's what I mean. Again, that's why I think he is. Oh well, that's why I think it's the best way to do. Be bad and let the beast run fucking wild, man. All right, vengeance. Did you or did you not watch Kenny kill Carver? And of course, I don't know. I guess we're in the minority. Well, that's fine. I have no problem being the minority because everyone else around me is a pussy anyway. Pretty much. But 48.6% of players watched Kenny obliterate, and I mean fucking obliterate, Carver's skull. Which means, in contrast, that 51.4% of players left with the group and left Kenny to do his business. Not that much of a difference, but still, that 3% or that 2%, that 2.3% or whatever, I guess, is the major difference between people who want to make sure that things get done and they don't come back to haunt them, because that's also why I wanted to make sure why I stayed. Like, I wanted to make sure he was dead. I wanted to make sure that there was no way in hell he was going to come back, no matter what. So that's why I fucking loved watching him enact that vengeance. There was vengeance, and Kenny was the correct man to dish it out. And if you notice this, bro, at this point, Kenny's acting like Rick from the TV show. Like, he's acting like more and more like Rick, and I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because he's getting more and more, I don't know, it's like it's hard for him to come back from some of the stuff that he's been doing. But I 110% believe that Carver got what was coming to him after what he did, after everything that he put the group through. Killed 2 people right in front of them. It's just bad, man. But not much to justify because you agree with me. But then again, I think maybe I'm influencing you a little too much in the chat, and I'm not sure if you're just following what I'm asking you to do just because to make me happy or whatever. But I'm not leading you astray. If I suggest to do some stuff, that's because I believe it's the correct thing to do in that particular moment in time. You may not agree with it, but, well, then again, nah. I feel like, you know, I feel like you're now at that point where you need to be in this game series, where you have to cast aside your humanity and just go with what your mind's telling you. Don't trust anybody. And always be safe. So when it comes to the fifth and final umbrella term, oh yes, risk. I ain't talking about the board game. I'm talking about the risk of cutting off someone's arm in the middle of a herd and having that blood trail go back to him. Now, you were correct. You were correct. It was stupid to do that. But the first time I saw that scene, all I could think of was Lee. And I thought, okay, well, if I cut off that arm and we quickly get out of the herd, maybe she can have a chance. Maybe. That's what I was thinking the first time I played through that. Because if I killed the walker itself, then she still would have been bit. And once you get bit, you're on borrowed time. So you and I did what we thought was sensible. We tried to get to the bite in time. But there's no tourniquet, no bandages, no pressure, and you got like, a gushing wound of where a limb used to be. You're gonna either bleed out to the point where you can't move or anything, or your cries and screams are gonna attract walkers. So it's a fucked up call no matter where you go, man. But we were in the majority though. We tried to save her. But from playing episode 4 how that rolls out. Which I can tell you that if you do axe the walker itself and not to cut off her arm, she does get out of there. And she does have, well, actually I shouldn't say that. Kenny is able to have some more time with her, but she is just like not there. Like it's really heartbreaking. I think it's better to have her not there at that point because she's already dying, and it's just like so. But that's like pretty much about it. Like when it comes to the alternate side. Small tweaks and small variations, but overall the same thing. But like I said, there's a lot of replayability if you ever want to go back on like off screen or on your own time and go back and make separate choices, because the first two seasons in the series have the rewind function where you can rewind to certain parts and episodes and replay those. However, the last two seasons do not have that feature. If you want to rewind, you have to restart the episode over again. So the replayability is a lot more easier on these two seasons because you can rewind to certain parts in the episode. It gets harder later on in the series, but that's later on. That's pretty much about it, bro. There's not much else to cover on this because, again, I guess I was wrong. We did the same things. The 5 choices, we did everything the same. And I don't know if it's because I was there with you, guiding you, or maybe you woke up, or maybe you just like said fuck it, and or maybe it was totally random. Maybe it was pure luck that we had the same outcomes. But yeah, to be fair, there are certain dialogue options that you picked that I may not have went with, like initially, but the dialogue options don't necessarily hold a lot of weight unless they're tied with other elements, which it's kind of hard to know, even with the pop-ups and everything, but the more you play the episode, the more you start to realize, oh, this connects to this. Oh, this major choice has a ripple effect down the road, and this one doesn't, and vice versa. You start to understand what holds weight and what doesn't really hold weight. But so far, everything that's happened, it holds weight no matter what. It may be insignificant and it may be so minuscule that you have no idea what it is or what it even applies to, but it holds weight. So I'm gonna probably leave it with here. I'm gonna leave it right here probably and let it die. So 2 episodes of this season, man. We did the same choices. So I think episode 2, what did we do different? What did we do? Oh yeah, you lied to Walter, and I told him the truth. which doesn't really matter because he's dead now. So it doesn't really matter. So again, that doesn't really hold a lot of weight either, because yeah, it doesn't really hold weight because Nick's fate is again decided if you tell Walter that Nick's a good man or if he's like everyone else. But yeah, speaking of which, I'll talk about that later. I can tell you though that if you had given up when Carver and his group came to the lodge in episode 2 at the end, and you didn't go find Kenny, and when Carver had Alvin in his grasp, if you ran up to protect him or you told Kenny not to shoot, then Carver would have grabbed you instead and then held you up to the window, and then Kenny would have surrendered then. In doing so, that would have saved Alvin. So Alvin could have appeared in episode 3, but it would have been his last episode. So, minor spoiler, Alvin dies no matter what. You just pick when he dies. Episode 2 or episode 3. We picked episode 2. So there, I kind of killed the replayability for that, but Alvin can survive at least to the halfway point in this episode. But you have to give up and surrender. And Kenny does not like that whatsoever. And I don't like that either. It's like, why would you just give up like that? Stupid. But if it was to save a life and to give them more time together, maybe it would have been worth it. But I don't know, man. But anyway, those are stats for episode 3. I'm going to go ahead and upload this to YouTube and then get the link and copy and paste the link to you. And then I'm going to probably start episode 4 myself. Or maybe I'll take a nap, who knows. But yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this little ragtag, Twinkie Dink video that I sent you here. But again, not much to talk about because we had the same thought process. We were on the same level pretty much the entire episode, on the same wavelength. I guess you want to get technical, but that's what happened. But alright, man, I will talk to you later, and I hope you have a good sleep or a good smoke or a good jack off session, whatever you're doing. Peace.